Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, listeners. Modu, if you can hear me, can you just let me know? If you guys can hear me loud and clear, let me know, please. Thank you. Whilst I share this video, just let me know from the comment section. Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Today is Wednesday, the 12th of July 2023. Time just gone 8 minutes past 7 in the evening in Birmingham, England. We are going to have a brief discussion on this asset recycling. And unfortunately, I was meant to have an interview on the Freedom platform with Alaji Salunjai, and we would have an extensive coverage on this matter. But unfortunately, some hiccups from his side, he can't make the interview. But hopefully tomorrow we're going to record that interview, and we will share our views very extensively from that end. The why am I loving these interviews is from somebody's point of view, asking the question. It opens up the dialogue better than presenting or just having a monologue on these subjects. Why do we have this program? I have to come because I am just filled with a lot to share, and because how important this issue is. This what presented by the finance minister as an asset recycle, a fancy word or another word for mortgage, mortgaging an asset. I mean, that's what it is. But again, I am encouraged by the interests of that people have in it. I am part of forums, but a particular forum, for that matter, have been discussing this matter. And why am I really, why this particular forum, people from accounting background, economics background, people from engineering background are sharing their ideas. I am learning a lot from those ideas, and those are some of the ideas, info that we want to share. I mean, on this platform here. I wish we had those platforms in the open. For one reason, Gambians don't want to be in the open to be heard, but they want to be in clusters to discuss. But I wish all these experts, we have people with experience, people with professional backgrounds, will be available to discuss this issue. Now, that's the reason for this program. It's quite an important program. Again, it's a PPP project. What I mean by that is it's a public-private partnership. It's nothing new. It's been going on. And we are not expert in it because we are not expert in accounting, economics, or engineering whatsoever. But we have lived in countries that have exercised this. We have seen the pros, the cons, and we know our government and the people around our government and how these things come out. And what I want to start with first is actually to share an insight we had before. If you bear me a minute, actually what happened is because there's a lot of issue to deal with coming to this project, as anything this government does. In April, in April, Open Gambia exposed that there was there's a underhand dealings behind the scenes between finance ministry and the government to mortgage this Senegambia bridge. It's not new to me. What's been shared here is not new to me because the inside of government have discussed it with us, and those people were not happy about what was happening. And I will read, I will read the post, the article. Sorry, I'll read part of the article that was published by the Open Gambia platform. And the article titled President Barrow and the Economic Cartel Continue Looting the State Assets. It says, this is from a government insider. Incredibly, top officers in Barrow administrations are reportedly upset about the President blanket endorsement of a cartel ongoing expansion of a total grip on the Gambia economy. As is too often the case, then again, a high-level contact in the economic cartel group confirmed this idea is indeed accurate. We had an information from inside the government, and that person have named a group of economic cartel members that are interested or pushing ideas around selling of government assets or acquiring government assets one way or the other. And what we did was to try to use that information and find out, and it was confirmed from within these groups that yes, there are people who are pushing these ideas, and it might be, it's likely to be not to be interest of to the people. And it continued. The article continued. The person said, "Let me repeat what we know, but it is mind-boggling that Sidiketa has convinced President Barrow to privatize Senegambia Bridge Management to a company name withheld for now." Here is the main point. There are plenty of reasons to believe these people constantly need money to private liquidate problems and many more headaches. This person was telling us, look, this is what is happening. Sidiketa have convinced the president that they can raise money by privatizing this bridge management. And the reason they're doing it, they need money. They're in desperate need of money for their, what they want to do. I'll get to that need of money. I don't know where this is going, but I continue the article, sorry. I don't know where this is going, but here what worries me. The corrupt technocrats are desperate to maintain power, to continue their quest for cashing in significant time and enjoy massive benefits. And how would they get away with this? And something of this magnitude, which is tremendously vital to our national security and foreign policy, should be debated by Parliament, which I agree. The person said, and look, these people are going through this, something very important. How they're getting away with this? Why are they getting away with this? Because they are doing things without people holding them accountable. But in this case, this is so much important, it should be debated in Parliament. The person continued to say, once again, this is pure nonsense and also a teachable moment. Even more important, the financial minister has seriously convened and considered privatizing the management of the bridge and getting kickbacks through price gauging and exhibiting toll collection fees. This is an allegation being made against the finance minister. These are the people that knew each other, that they are doing this in order to get kickbacks and the tolls will be high and so on. So there you have it. There are no limits to their greed. It is not just that. It's all beggars the question. Why? This is a premeditated idea coming from a model-like ripoff of our airport. He's saying that what they're trying to do is similar to what they did to our airport. Exploit it and for a private company to come in and they had to get their kickbacks. And obviously it's not going to be limited to the Senegambia bridge. It's going to go on to others if we allow it to happen. Moreover, there are essential lessons for the rest of us to learn from the mindset of these people and their controversial ideas. In all seriousness, somehow, everything this man has done ends up causing embarrassment and concern. If they proceed with this plan, it will be a costly strategic failure that will continue to hurt us for a long time. This is the concern this person raised. He's saying that Sidiketa have been a disaster since he came into the ministry. Remember, it's the same Sidiketa who said, oh, it was a good idea that goods are being embarked now in Senegal and coming by land to the Gambia. But the same Sidiketa came back and because when he was trade minister, but the minute he assumed the finance ministry, it's a different story. Oh yeah, this is hurting us, this is hurting our revenue, and it's hurting our economy. Same Sidiketa. And this guy, I mean, if you could continue, what would explain that this is disturbing to say this? However, they they learn the lesson about those immobile ferry purchased during the Jammeh era military regime. But I am not holding my breath. Let's take a further step back. To the contrary, haven't they learned how privatization wrecked GPMB and caused us to go dangerously into debt? It seems we are about to find out what the ��𝒂𝒂𝒏 economics stand for. Um, and this is, I mean, the main body of the article that deals with the breach. And I disagree with the GPMB notion. The privatization of GPMB, I think that was one of the okay privatization that done, but that's for another day. That's for another day. Now, this was the article. Let me try. I've written an article on this, even though the article was drafted about a day before to reaction to this. If you bear me a minute, I will read the article written on this, which is going to be published tomorrow, inshallah, tomorrow. And the article is, what are the details in the mortgage of Senegambia Bridge? It's important to know the details. The devil is in the details. And that's why we are continuing this discourse. And today we are going to play the interview from West Coast Radio, which is a brilliant interview. And it had availed us a lot more information that we can debate. We need to debate this, and I hope people take interest in this to make sure we scrutinize it as much as possible. The article written, I said, what are the details in the mortgage of the Senegambia Bridge? We need to know the details. The article starts from, most people only learn of the mortgage of our critical strategic asset, Senegambia Bridge, to the private entity Africa 50 from Finance Minister Sidiketa following his interview with the international news network CBNC. The minister called the public-private partnership arrangement as an asset recycling. This is what we learned. It's interesting we did not learn this from what is happening on the ground. It's not from Parliament, not from the government consultations or anything. But we learned this because of the minister is out away there having to speak. The private entity wanted people to hear what they're doing in order for them to drum up business or hype or whatever it is, and they got our minister to talk to them about this. This is the level of disrespect they have, or the way they conceal the things they do and just bamboozle it to us whenever they like. The article continues. There are critical transparency and accountability issues regarding this financial arrangement. Many questions jump to mind, such as one, did the government conduct an intensive stakeholder consultation, including with the Senegalese counterparts and the public? Transparency is key in order for us to do something effectively. And that transparency, what it meant is consultation. People needed to be consulted. Stakeholders who play a vital role in making things happen within that sector needed to be consulted in order for us to hold them accountable. There's a major problem here. We just heard about it there. I heard about it from the grapevine, and that was a very critical opinion. Now we are taking it from the outside, bringing it from the in, instead of from the in to the out. But again, I said stakeholders. This is the transport union. These are other people who are playing a vital role in the business of the bridge. But again, Senegal. Senegal is a strategic partner in this development. Even for the bridge to be built, Senegal pushed for it, and the funding, they played a vital role in mobilization and making sure this bridge is realized. But again, it's going to affect how the bridge is managed is going to affect their economy hugely. Then if this bridge, the negotiations are to be fruitful, the management is to be realized and beneficial, Senegal would have to be consulted, and all this taken on board, then they can come up with the concept and something fit for purpose. Two, Was there any competitive international bidding? Were there any? How did they come up with one company? Obviously, that's where the suspect is. How did they come up with one company? If the government have a brilliant idea, or this is what we want to do with our assets, in order for the government to maximize the benefit, they should do something competitive. Do what? Put it out there for the domestic and international to look at it. And you see, this would have been a perfect area where the government would consult a local consortium with a diaspora funding. And this local consortium could have come in the set of creating that vehicle so that people in the diaspora and in the Gambia, Gambians in the diaspora and within the Gambia who have the means to put, to fund this venture, and we will not need a private entity from outside. Any profit realized would be going paid to Gambians, and those Gambians obviously will be reinvesting in the Gambia. This is how we create wealth for a country. Not to give your a prime asset to a private entity to come and run it, make profits, and that profit is used somewhere else. Should be, and we have seen in country where dams are funded from the diaspora, projects are funded from the diaspora. This could, if a consultation was done right, this was the area the diaspora could come in and people can use $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 to buy shares and have a share of running of that entity if the government needed cash urgently. There are Gambians, businesses in the Gambia, there are people in the Gambia that can invest. Social Security could invest the pensioners, pensioners' pension into it, and this is the way we generate. The insurance companies can invest and everything else. This is the way it should be done. If we had that consultation, and it could have been open, the bid could have been open, we could have realized over 100 million. We could have realized over 100 million with better terms and conditions. But again, the third part is, according to the article, I don't remember ever hearing something so fundamental as this being discussed at the National Assembly, which should be a must to safeguard our national interests, considering this administration's poor track record in contracting public-private partnership. This should have been a must. But again, we know how useless our National Assembly is. It's a matter of the state, the government coming to mention this and 102, and it push and goes. That's why we need a public consultation. We need civil society to get in there. We need the pressure out there so that if we have to go with this, we come out with a win-win situation. And as I said, a diaspora initiative should have been one that could have been considered, where the mainly diaspora and Gambians within the Gambia who have the means to buy the shares to operate it. This should have been looked into. My article continue to say PPP arrangement. Generally, what government does, we know their bad track record. Every PPP they did was bad for us, because of what the people that go to negotiate this, they are incompetent. But the most thing is they are compromised, because all they look for is what they get from the contractor. Now the contractor determine everything else. We have seen from Simplex to everything that we have negotiated by this government have been a disadvantage to us. The structure should have been undergone due diligence to avoid entangling the state in a terrible contractual agreement like the security levy. This should have been done. A very proper due diligence should happen before this goes. But we have not. I hope the political parties will come out and debate this and hold government to account. Not only Parliament as such. I hope civil society would do that, and I encourage Gambians. As I said, there's a forum. They are debating this, people with expertise, but I hope and I would find a way to get their permission, to get their opinions shared. I am doing that for that matter here. Some of what I am sharing is from something I learned from them or something I picked from other people's contribution in the forum. We need this to be discussed openly so that we can hold this accountable. I said there's a lot of public skepticism given this government track record. However, had they done this transparently with due diligence and the process invested in and the proceeds, proceeds invested and the proceeds invested. Okay, there's a lot of public skepticism given this government track record. However, had they done this transparently with due diligence and the proceeds invested in the socio-economic development, helping towards sustainable development goals, there wouldn't have been this level of public outcry, as it will be seen as a win-win situation. If the consultations, due diligence, and everything is done well, and alive to a point that the government goes with this, we would have been having our blessing and we would not have had this outcry. The reaction is due to the way things are handled and obviously the poor government track record. That's why we are skeptical of it. If not, we would have looked at it as a win-win situation. But again, if consultation was done, a better means of doing things would have been realized, rather than a group of people behind the scenes come up with an idea and just go and select an entity from outside and give it to the entity and let's say carte blanche and we are going with this. That's completely wrong. I continue to say the journalists who interview Minister Keita appear to lack the necessary background knowledge of the Gambia financial and economic affairs to tackle the minister waffling deliberation on our financial and economic development matters. You see, they have a foreign, foreign journalists to interview. The foreign journalist seems not to even know nothing about Gambia for that matter. Probably he's out there, in fact, to pump out. You see, some of these interviews, you have to be very careful. What it's about is a PR. It's part of their PR. Or let's put visibility out there. Gambia is going to do this. There's a lot not to talked about there. And the guy doesn't have what it takes to ask the questions, relevant questions. If he had known about Gambia, he would have asked Keita. But Keita was out there wobbling from one, repeating himself many times because there was no interesting question to come. That's why it's interesting today. When we heard from West Coast Radio, Peter Gomez have done a brilliant job with that interview, and we're going to play that interview and do a review of that interview for us to continue this discourse further. Continue to said. Minister Keita emphasizes the presidential ambition to build thousands of kilometers of road from a similar infrastructure asset recycling, and nothing on reinvesting into the social human capitals. The government prioritizes significantly in infrastructure projects for political and potential for massive corruption procurement practice benefits. You see something about this. The minister was out there, the president ambition. I think he said that 3 to 4 times, if I'm right. President ambition to build thousands of kilometers of road. Why this obsession of road and bridges? It's a political project. 2, why not talk about the investment of this into our schools, our healthcare, and into developing and the human resource capitals of that country? No. That's not to their interest. But I mean, for one thing, for African politicians, they believe that the Africans only are moved when they see structures. They think that Africans are not smart enough to realize that the conditions of living have improved and they will vote according to that. No, they will believe in infrastructure. And I'll tell you this. This is the same model that 𝒂𝒊𝒏 development plan is. It's the same model. It's nothing new here. Borrow money, go for the capital bonds, go for this, go for that, and build all the stadiums, infrastructure, and everything technically in the same cosmopolitan area rather than invest. And you see the poverty within these areas that this infrastructure have been built, you're sorry for yourself. Because there's no capacity to be built in the people, there's nothing done to develop the social, the strength of the people, the economic, so that they can participate, included in the economic growth of that country. No, everything is measured to those infrastructure developments. And what did this create? That's why today you see the joblessness and everything else in Senegal, which part of what galvanized the youths and made them crazy, to go against this government when there is a demonstration. But again, you can see the thousands of Senegalese youths, just as Gambians and other Africans that use the same model to development, are taking the back way as it is. It's not the right model for investment. We need to invest in our people. Look at what the Senegambia bridge actually is got done to Soma and Farafenni. It has killed business in Soma and Farafenni because of the social consideration that have been done. The impact assessment on society have not been done right, and to look at the implications to how would it affect our economy and the trade within those areas have not been done, and nothing in place for that, and the trade just die off. And the article continue to say, yeah, and why do they like these infrastructure projects is how they would do procurement and to benefit themselves by in corruption. And it continues to say, from the minister's statement, it seems the government next step will be to mortgage our telecoms, energy, road, and bridge infrastructure via the PPP asset recycling. Are the government ministers preparing for their early retirement by cashing out our state assets for pittance? The National Assembly, political parties, and civil society should be vigilant and call for transparency and accountability on this asset recycle model to ensure proper consultation and necessary due diligence to maximize return to the country. This is what I've written. I'm going to share that tomorrow morning on the Open Gambia platform. And as I said, we are not against government taking initiative that will develop that nation, but we want it to be done right. And I'll tell you one thing. I cannot go in detail in that, but probably in the Freedom Radio, I might be allowed time to do that. You see, this economic cartel we're talking about, these are the people, I think, these are the same people looking after the succession planning for President Barrow to retire. And part of this project they're doing is part of to realize the enough money. And these are the people now directing the way the government is run. What they're trying to do is build all these projects in order to prepare, not for President Barrow, but for their chosen candidate to run on that. Their government continuity. They're looking for government continuity. And the corruption would be huge because of the proceeds of this money, and the neglect that will happen later will be realized later when they have served so long with us. This is what they're doing. Remember, it's the same government that irresponsibly went and borrowed that much. How much they borrowed, you see, I don't have the figures on head. Again, we all knew, combined Jawara 30 years and Jammeh 22 years, they have borrowed in 7 years far more, and we have not realized anything. Gambians today are poorer than ever. We have seen the inflation and everything else. This is the same government that took almost 100 million from your central bank and said to you that, look, we cannot tell you who we give this money to. This is the same government that sold assets of Jammeh and still cannot account for those proceeds. That's why we have to be very careful and hold this government accountable for what they do. If you bear me a minute, let me search for this audio and play this audio, and we respond according to the deliberation. Deliberation. Sorry guys, I wish I was good at multitasking to read your messages. I'll take a minute. Let me take a minute and see some of the messages. Okay, thank you. Now I am going to play the West Coast Radio interview that the Finance Minister, 𝒕𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒏, the Infrastructure Minister 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, 𝒂𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒏𝒏𝒆𝒍, Infrastructure Minister with Peter Gomez. And I will play a bit, stop, and I will review what my take is on that. And yeah, that's where the program is going to go on now. If you just bear me, let me increase the volume, and you let me know if it's coming loud and clear.
You're listening to 92.1 West Coast Radio 2.
Two headlines in today's papers catch my attention. The Standard reporting that the majority
Just bear me a minute. I want to bring it to the 10 minutes mark where its interview start. Okay, let me try this.
A conversation between two people in the studio and one on the phone would be no problem, but our fixed line isn't working normally at the moment, so we have had to
Let me know
get
if you can hear
CD
it loud and
on
clear.
the mobile phone. So CD, you may have difficulty hearing your colleague, Mr. Silla, when he butts in. That shouldn't be a problem because you are the main player here. And to start us off, thank you for introducing a new term in our national development parlance, asset recycling. From the reaction you are reading and hearing, do you think the concept of asset recycling is well understood by those writing and commenting about it in the media?
Well, Peter, first of all, thank you very much and good morning to you and your listeners. And it is our pleasure to respond to the questions raised on the transactions we are conducting as a government. And first of all, I will begin by saying that asset recycling of cash flow producing asset is very normal in an infrastructure space. By that we mean is when you have an asset that produces a predictable cash flow over a reasonable period of time into the future, it is very normal financial. It's a very normal financial transaction to collateralize those cash flows to serve as a security for issuance of a bond or issuance of a security that will give you, the owner of that asset, access to cash for you to deploy while the cash flow stream will go towards servicing the obligations that are from those assets backed security. And this is done everywhere from toll roads to bridges to mortgages. So what we are doing here, maybe it might sound new here because it's a first time of its kind, yes, but this is not new in the financial balance. So we're not doing what is new in the financial arena. This is very standard financial practice in developed capital markets. And what we are doing, we are not doing it single-handedly. We're doing it with a renowned partner that is Africa 50. What we're doing, we're not selling the assets. Absolutely. We're rather using an innovative financing mechanism to raise resources that will not add to our debt stock, but will generate the cash flows required for future development. So in a nutshell, the 100 million that is the subject of this transaction, it is not a debt because the investors are taking the risk of the cash flows of the asset. So it's a bankruptcy remote structure. And we may need to go into this transaction for people to be at ease. We've not sold any national asset. This bridge has a lifespan of reasonably over 50 years. And the terms of these transactions are as follows. One, a period of 25 years or upon the investors realizing an internal rate of return of 15%, whichever comes first. So it's a transaction where it's not a linear, whereby the asset or the security owners will have rights to the cash flows for the next 25 years. No, it is linked to the target IRR of the transaction. If the traffic volume increase so that the IRR of the investors is realized in 10 years, in 5 years, in 7 years, in 20 years, then the asset reports back to the state. And what we are doing here, we are not only stopping at that, we are also having an SPV, special purpose vehicle, that is now the sponsor of the asset-backed security on which this transaction right.
Okay, let me just get into that. It's interesting that now he's talking about to let the people know. That's what I pointed out, that they did not try to start up from explaining a policy point of view. As a government, they should have explained that this is a new policy they're going to do in order to realize revenue. And people who lived in the UK or people who have followed United Kingdom's economic performance or management would realize when the new Labour government came in under the stewardship of Gordon Brown as the Chancellor, that's the Finance Minister, they spoke about this. Part of what they're going to do was to raise in order to meet the infrastructure deficits in the social sector. This is about, because for 18 or 20 years, the conservative government did not build new schools. They did not invest in new schools. They did not invest in housing. They did not invest in the healthcare sector and so on. They said this: we are going to go for the model of a PPP, that's private partnership, this thing, in order to realize this within this period of years, so that we have new housing, or the new housing estates would be revamped. And they went into a concept of what the housing estates were taken up. Most government housing estates were taken up by charity organizations that are specialized in housing, and to manage these things, they reinvested and redeveloped these houses in that. In certain instances, some of the estates were given to private sector, which revamped and increased the affordability of housing and so on. That model was look into housing and so on to regenerate. It was called the regeneration program, and many, or gentrification, some people call it, or whatever it is, and it became a success in many areas. Now, what this does for, in a sense, like what the Labour government was doing, is putting government borrowing off the balance sheets in order to manage the economy, and inflation of this government would not go out of control. Now, the debt would be seen as something taken over by the private sector and managed by the private sector. That's one thing there. Two, it was the speed they wanted to fill the gap. The other model from the PPP was the private companies to come and build hospitals and run the hospitals for a period of years, 50 years or 25 years or whatever agreed, depending on what's going to be involved. And the government would be paying when the hospitals start to operate a certain amount towards the operation of those hospitals. Again, that means that during the course of building the hospitals until they operate, government have no obligation to pay any penny to the project. The government start to pay when this hospital become operational and run by this private sector. That was another aspect of it. The third aspect was in education. Schools were built, rebuilt, or something built by private sector, and after the finish of building and everything, government started to pay towards those schools. But another aspect too was corporate bodies. They introduced what we call the academic system. Like the big companies, like corporate companies would do is they would sponsor a school, and they will run the school like a secondary school based on the ethos of their company. An accountancy firm accountancy firm would decide to build a school and run the ethos and these things on accounting. They did similar things. We are not new to this. There's nothing new here. I mean, any fancy word they give it is a remortgaging. In the sense, it's not selling assets, which is true. To an extent, it's not selling the assets. It's about remortgaging your assets. You have a house that you paid for. You already paid for your house. You have your house. Now you're going to a bank, approach the bank and ask the bank to give you a certain amount, and they manage the house for you. They rent it out until you get your money back and a profit of up to 15%. Whenever you realize that money, the profits, then the asset will come back to me. But the bad thing is here is two. You have not discussed this. This house, you have a responsibility for the house, but you don't own the house. The house is owned by the people, and this house is functional as an operational base. There are other entities who are using this house to operate. It's not that you are going to rent the house to an individual. This is a house that many things will come through. Vehicles will come through. Private vehicles will come through, commercial vehicles will come through, industrial vehicles will come through. But again, this is a corridor, and part of the corridor is an ECOWAS corridor, and it's a corridor instrumental in Senegal having to move from the north to the south. Now, consultation should have been this thing. The second part is, the difference is, you did not look at out there to put a bidding, ask for a bidding in the international world to say that, look, this is what I'm going to do. I have an asset here, which is realizing revenue now, but I need revenue quickly. I need money now, quickly. I need 100 million. Now, if you want me to mortgage this asset to you, I mean, come, we have a discussion. But if you have gone to the international to do that, or you look at it, as I emphasize here, they should have looked within. Look at in the Gambia and the diaspora, and look at that. We have I mean, this is what the government want to do. In order, you know, when British Airways was sold, many things were sold. British citizens mainly bought a lot of shares in it, and many became middle class. Some middle class became something else, because when they started to get the profits, they reinvested here. That's why it's important that something like this should happen. 100 million, I tell you, that is achievable. I mean, diasporans from $10,000 to $15,000. Shares can, I mean, some people might even put 20, cash into their pensions. I mean, to invest there, or other investments, they can take it to invest there. It's a secure investment. This is a secure investment. Why not leave it to the citizens to benefit from it? Because the citizens benefit, the government benefits more. Because end of the day, we make money, we pay dividends, we're going to pay tax. We pay dividends, we are going to reinvest in that country. It should have been considered. This is my first observation on the first points shared. And the other base we have to look at is when he talked about the lifespan of the bridge. He said 50 years. But that 50 years is dependence on how the bridge is maintained, on maintenance, And remember, if the bridge gets to a level that it's out of its lifespan, we need to build another bridge. Do we consider how much would it take to build another bridge? Then when we go to these contracts, do we consider all this? This bridge is not a cash cow that we continue taking from. It has to be maintained, and maintenance and others. And we'll look at that as well. And he said, which is a good thing, there's a kind of a clause or a fallback position that if the company make 15% profit within the time, might be within 8 years, within 10 years, what can happen is it can come back to government. Now, if we listen to this further down, government estimate they are making almost 50 million a month. Let's say they are conservatively making, let's say rounded up, let's say they are making $1 million a month. In 100 months, which is 8 years, the 100 million will be realized. But that's where it is. The operational costs and other cost, maintenance costs, other oversight payments of all these things will have factor in it. If they were looking at it in that way, then the contract would have been 15 years or 10 years. But no, the reason they're going to 25 years is there's devil in the detail. And people that live in apartments in Europe and probably in America will tell you this. When you live in an apartment where there's a service charge, inflation will come in. Inflation is knocking. But not only that inflation, but in this case, we have another problem, which is the exchange rate mechanism. That inflation is going to affect the dollar. And that dollar is Gambia, as the economy has been managed, we are going to be needing more dollars to buy the dollar. And the more they need more dollars to buy the dollar, the longer it will take for them to return it. And these are all things that we need to think about properly. Let me continue here and play the audio again.
On which the transaction resides. And government has a shareholding of 12.5% in that special proposed vehicle. So at any given year, after servicing the obligations of the facility, any residual profit will be shared between the shareholders of the SPV. And the shareholders of the SPV are Africa 50, 87.5%, and the government of the Gambia 12.5%. So in a nutshell, the government of the Gambia, apart from having an upfront cash flows of 100 million, will also be entitled to dividend proceeds of 12.5% from the residual income. This is how we structure this transaction. It is not an asset disposal, it's not an asset sale, and it's a very normal financial transaction. And in fact, when we signed this agreement, a number of African countries on the spot approach Africa 50 to say we want to replicate what Gambia has done. We have large infrastructure assets just like Gambia has, and we have not been able to come up with this idea. So please, after this, come to our country. We had it with Togo was there. They are working on Zimbabwe, and they are working also, I think, Mozambique. Yes, these are the three countries I recall that approach Africa 50 on the spot. Okay. So in a nutshell, I think the concept of us selling a large national asset is a non-starter.
Let me say this. Either the minister have said something untrue, but the minister have been impressed wrongly. Okay, now another point he raised is after recovering of investment and any residual profits, the government of the Gambia is going to get 12.5%, and the 87% will go to this management company or Africa 50. Now, I am not clear on this. I put my hands, I'm not clear. If someone understands it better, let us know, either on the live program or after. I will find clarity on this. What does this mean? This is my thinking. Does it mean that the 25 years contract will continue whilst they manage it and we be paid 12.5%? Or what? What does that mean? That needs clarity. I don't understand it, and I hope someone would do to clarify it, or I'll seek clarification later and share it on a post. But the minister said that many African countries, he's selling this now. This is a contradiction. He said this is not new. It happens all the time. And this minister wants to tell us, Keta, that all these financial ministers from other well-developed African countries don't know of these arrangements, but it's new to them so much and impressed so much that when they had Gambia have signed up onto this, and they jump on to say, oh, we want a piece of this. Either he's been bamboozled with this, or he's not telling us the truth. I'll tell you why. First, that's why I said this sort of press conferences are a PR, part of selling the vehicle. Africa 50 is a group of Africans that come together to form this financial entity. It's not a magic on doing that. And I know they will be able to raise. I was talking to someone who does this in America, and he have his doubts that these people can able to raise this. But after thinking about it, they can raise money for this. After thinking about it, I said yes, they can. I think about yes, they can, because they will likely not come into the West to raise this money. They're going to Africa there to raise this money. There's a lot of Africans now, especially those in businesses, that they want to recycle their money. They want to clean their money. They will look at these vehicles, and if there's no stringent this thing, they will put their money in it. Those that stole monies in Nigeria, Ghana, Gambia, Senegal, and others, those who are in certain businesses would look at it as a way to put money. The due diligence that required, or the scrutiny, red tapes will not be there, rather than if you were to invest in the European Union or in America and so on. It's possible. Now, another point is here. And this is in 2015. 2015, my visit to Gambia, I went to Senegal. And that's where I met the former finance minister, 𝒂 when he left Gambia after having problems with Gambia and moved to Senegal. And whilst he was in Senegal, he was running a consultancy, obviously looking for investors. I happen to have a friend, I'm saying this on air, people who knows 𝒂 can verify this. I happen to know a wealth manager who lives in the United Kingdom here. And this guy is controlling a huge portfolio, some of the assets that we hear that the Qataris are buying in the United Kingdom, and other Middle Easterns. He worked for, technically, his company do accounting and wealth management for Middle Eastern. He's a Muslim guy, and that's what he does. He got a mountain of money, to manage for these people to make their money work, more efficiently. and he buys property in the United Kingdom, he invests in businesses in the United Kingdom, and so on. And I approached him when I spoke to Mamboure, and I knew what Mamboure was doing in Senegal. I spoke to Mamboure, and at that time, Mamboure was looking at, he was running a vehicle that he wanted investment into a project in Togo. In Togo, I think, one francophone country around Togo, most probably Togo. And it was, I think, power generation. When I spoke to Mamboure about it, I spoke to his wealth manager, and he was interested. He was interested. And I linked this wealth manager with Mamboure, and I got some of the communication with me, linked this with Mamboure, and they tried to get this going. But unfortunately, due to this passing due diligence, some of these things did not fit in, and the investment did not happen. When Gambia, then 2017, Mamboure became the finance minister. 2017 or 2018, when he was the finance minister. Yeah. Gambia was coming to the United Kingdom. The Gambia government was coming to the United Kingdom. Mamboure was with Ami Bensouda and others. I think the Justice Minister then, 𝒕𝒉𝒊𝒏 and others. And they were coming to the United Kingdom. There was a license, the exploration license they were to sell, which they took from Frank Timis. And when they came here, I spoke to the guy about it. I said, oh, there's another investment opportunity here from the Gambia. He wanted to do something in the Gambia. And I said to him, it was too late. I contacted Mamboure, and afraid Mamboure remembered and he said, look, this is what we're doing. Mamboure said, this is what he's doing. If he is really ready to go into this, the things I've already done, but I can get him in. I can get him in to come and see what we're doing, to see whether he's interested to put a bid in, to put a bid in. Obviously, it did not work out. What I'm saying here in a nutshell, be it Togo, be it all those countries, this thing will not be a new thing to him. Then let the minister not hide this to us as if this is a brilliant, like a idea they got from nowhere. No. This is not like something light bulb moment they have and they went to Africa 50. No. And I'll tell you, another thing will come in here. Ask yourself, how did Africa 50 come to it? If the government thought about this, like this is their idea, this is brilliant, how did they go to Africa 50? Why did they go to Africa 50? Africa 50 is not well known. So far, I am doing a due diligence. I've not seen a big thing that I said they are well known. Now, how did Africa 50 get involved? No, it's not true. Africa 50 came looking for business. And Gambia is one of those small places you can easily get to the corridors of power by oiling the wheels of power and get there, and they want to start with Gambia and to sell the idea. We have to scrutinize this. We have to scrutinize this. He's trying to bamboozle us with this PR. Let's move on. As I said, we will have a detailed discussion on this, probably tomorrow, a recorded interview with Freedom Radio, and it's going to be aired on Freedom Radio.
National asset is a non-starter because it's not a sale transaction. It is just the management of the cash flows and not just the financial aspect of the bridge. There is also an O&M aspect of the transaction. The concessionaire will manage the asset in such a way that the condition will be as good as they acquired it when they are reverting it back to the state. So part of it will be an annual operation and maintenance cost that the concessionaire will bear all the engineering that goes with that. So this was well studied. This transaction has been going on for a year. So what we signed was the heads of terms and the joint development agreement. So basically, in a nutshell, the summary or the gist of what the transaction entails.
Okay, CD, I know you have said that the arrangement does not mean that the Africa 50 will hold on to the bridge for 25 years, even though 25 years is what you have agreed. If after 10 years they recover their investment, the bridge reverts.
Let me touch that before we move to that question. He pointed to a very important point we need to ask ourselves. That's the maintenance. That's the maintenance. Now, the company, remember, Africa 50 it's not, it's like it's taking responsibility of the management. But Africa 50 are not going to, they are going to subcontract another company to manage it. Management companies subcontract others. And people who are know this, the reason they put it to 25 years, they know. They know. And you'll be surprised, up to 25 years, they might turn out to say of this, because they know how to get rid of some of this expense. Spread it out. Now, they are going to be responsible for the maintenance as well. What does this mean? They'll have a company that will manage in the revenue collection and everything. They'll have a company to do the maintenance. And he said an annual management cost. Who's going to determine the cost? This is where it comes again. When we're doing this, are we really making sure these things are looked after? Who's going to be responsible for the cost? Now, if the maintenance is, they're responsible for that maintenance, who is going to make sure, the oversight body, to make sure the maintenance are carried out well? To guarantee what he said, that this bridge is going to be returned to Gambia as the way they inherit, as they took it over. Then you have to make sure someone is monitoring the maintenance. Now, that's another entity monitoring the maintenance. Now, who is going to pay that entity? Is it Gambia government or this company? You see, the more we go into details of this, the more we have questions to ask and more questions needed to be answered. That's why we need this issue to be discussed well. We meant well for Gambia. That's all the reason we are raising this. This is not against the government, but holding government accountable, and we want a discussion to this. And we are thanking West Coast Radio for taking this up, and we hope other journalists will follow through. Let's move on to this question.
Back to government management. But why only $100 million? Can't you make more than $100 million managing it locally over the next 25 years?
No, there was a model that was used in order to arrive at the value of the transaction. One is, okay, we're talking about the bridge today. What we notice is this bridge was fetching far less than 20 million a month in the past. I am happy that Honorable Sila is with you in the studio. It was when we changed the management of this bridge in terms of revenue collection that the revenues have jumped from less than 20 million to more than 40. Subsequent to that, we observed that the revenue trend started going down.
Again.
So we have observed that, and we all know when it comes to managing large infrastructure assets in the West, it's done like this. There is no government agency that will be there to collecting assets. These are all outsourced to private sector because they are more efficient and they do these things. This is their core competence. We do not have as a core competence within government management of these assets. Never. We never had them. And in management, you delegate to those operators that have core competence in a domain where excellence will be. And this is what exactly we believe we've done.
Okay.
So, when it comes to the amount, that was a modeling exercise, and that came out to that. Yes.
Thank you very much. He explained how they come to, Peter asked, how did they come to conclusion of 100 million? And he said, obviously, they had a modeling formula they followed. And the modeling formula informed them that, interesting, they were raising less than 20 million a month, but they step in there, interventions which the Minister Infrastructure is going to explain later, and they got to 40 million, but now it's dropping again. That means there's a leakage. But when they pluck the leakage, it went to 40 million, and now they manage, probably those people now manage to find a way again to start the leakage happening again, is dropping. This is probably the explanation. But what he's trying to say here is the private sector does it better. That's an argument. But do we consider the pros and cons of the private sector doing it better? To what extent detriment to the public or the economy, other side of the investment. You might realize so much from the investment due to the toll charges and so on being done effectively and so on. Private sector get their cut and government get their cut in the collection. But That's why I said we have to do the assessment. Have to look at the economic impact itself. How does this management going to impact onto the economy? One, two. We have to evaluate how does it impact on society as well, the people or other people as well, the economy and the society as well. Let me give you an example. It's true. This is what happens in the developed countries, but it does not come with its challenges, and it does not come with its criticism. That's why we hold it accountable. In the United Kingdom, when Gordon Brown brought out the PPP things, what they found out is it was good for government. I mean, it was good for them to sow their balance sheets, to control their balance sheets in a way. But after they realized, yes, we might have hospitals, schools, and everything built within a short span and delivery. But the cost down to the public was that for the amount we have paid for that hospital, we could have built 3 hospitals if we have done it in a different way. It might take a little bit longer, but we have been more sustainable to build 3 hospitals than 1 hospital and pay that much. That came out. In the United Kingdom, most of, on everything that's revenue collections in the sense, yes, it's done by private sector, but it's scrutinized to make sure the account is accountable and public benefits and everything else. And when it comes to the public, they assess on the public. Like, let's say if a transport system, like passenger, public transport system, they'll make sure prices for children, prices for pensioners, prices for some people not in work, prices for disabled, and those things are factored part of this contract. Make sure these people are not adversely affected in this when the inflation kicks in and it have to be increased. These things have to be done. And again, they will have to factor that, there should be an amount thrown out there so that people who are less fortunate, who can access to able to travel on this because they are going to do essential services or they will need this, the route of this transportation is this thing. And if government have to subsidize that, government have to subsidize that. They have to do that, those evaluations. In this case, are we talking about this? That's why we need a consultation so that these things can be raised. I'll come to a point. You see, if you continue this, in America, where even the prisons are privatized, this is privatization. That's all what it is. Call it any name, is privatization. Getting private sector into it. When they brought prisons into the private sector and others, what happened? Is the corruption in America. I'm talking about it. People in America will tell you the corruption. And the corruption, in fact, get to judges taking part in the corruption, trying to lock up more people into the prison system so that these prison companies will make more money. Even judges were taking this thing, especially in juvenile prisons or juvenile detention centers. That's why we need to be very careful what we go, what we let ourselves in. Now, let's look at it in the case of Gambia. As I said, Senegal have to be consulted properly. And I tell you, if did not consult Senegal properly, these things are going to go through. And I think much have not happened in this. It's all a public relationship. It's all Gambia government blowing their this thing yet. Most of it is not done yet. This is like an MOU. If Gambia government go through all what they need to do, even sign this, now these people did not have 100 million in a safe waiting for them to use. No, they will take this to go and look for that 100 million. That's why I said we could have considered doing it differently. Just as Peter Gomez said, can't we do this locally? If we can realize almost $1 million a month, $1 million a month, almost. And if we can plug the leakages from 20 million to 40 million, and now we see there's still leakages, why can't we look at it and do it better? And the other costs, and we'll have control over the other costs, the maintenance, the operational, and others. If a private company, if Africa 50 takes up this, they are going to subcontract the operational this thing of this, both the maintenance and the operations of the revenue collection. And if they do that, the overheads will be so much. And we will need Gambia government still, if they want to be in it, they are not part of the management, they would have an oversight body that will be looking into these operations to make sure that they are not cheating us. But if the oversight body is absolutely corrupt, as we know of this Gambia government, the oversight body would look the other way and they do as they wish. Just as we witnessed in the airport levy, where they do what they want. Increase without even letting us know. Now, that's the competency area. Let's move on to the other bit. Let's listen a little bit more.
Okay. Let me hear from Honorable Silla on revenue from the bridge. Before the Ministry of Finance intervened, we were getting less than 20 million. Then they took it up to 45, but it started going down again. What's going on?
No, actually, I think the whole history of looking at the revenue stream of the bridge came about when I was appointed Minister of Works, and then Honorable Keita appointed as Minister of Finance. So we went on a joint trek to look at the ongoing road construction projects and also the revenue generating projects of the government. And then when we went to the bridge, we realized certain anomalies. One, the ticketing system was not there. The CCTV system.
The ticketing system was not there. How was traffic flowing across the bridge?
They were doing the manual ticketing.
It hadn't been automated.
The TMS electronic ticketing was not functioning. Okay. So we decided that immediately that should be put in place. And then the contractor, Areski, was contacted to put in place the TMS system and also the toll plazas for them to be functional. And we did a test run, and we realized that from 17 million, the first month jumped up to, I think, $42 million.
Oh, wow.
But all along, the collection at the bridge was by the Accountant General's Department in collaboration with the ferry services. So we had to intervene to, downsize the number of personnel there, because with the TMS now, with the toll plaza and also the CCTV, plus the barrier, because the barriers serve as a kind of like an accountability mechanism. For example, if a vehicle is approaching and the barrier goes up, then it counts as a transaction.
Yes.
So these things were not there. And however, even with all these things in place now, we have realized that there are still leakages. And this also, of course, includes the type of vehicles that are, crossing the bridge. Some of them, for example, the heavy-duty trucks, they needed to be weighed and weighed appropriately. Although we have this facility with 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒆𝒔 that actually weighs the vehicles. So if you go above a certain level of weight, you have to pay extra. So those cash transactions, actually, there is a tendency of a leakage.
Okay.
So now, that's actually brought about this facility of us discussing with Africa 50, because the finance minister insisted
that you were part of the discussions.
Yeah, from the onset. In fact, part of the reason why we came up with what we now a controversial term, asset recycling, was following my appointment. I had a very detailed discussion with Uncle 𝒑𝒔. And he thought one of the best ways to support the infrastructure deficit funding is basically to look at our infrastructure projects, like first the Senegambia bridge, the conference center, the OIC conference center, the two bridges in the URR, and also other facilities that are generating income for the government, but we are not paying attention to them. So how do we monetize this to ensure that we ring-fence the collection that we are getting, and then work with the Ministry of Finance to plow it back into infrastructure funding, so that we will not have to, recourse to, the budget, directly, to fund the project.
Okay, I think that was good advice from Pax. Yeah. Just to address another question, Minister.
Now let's just revisit this point again by the Minister Silla. Now, what are they telling us? Now, if they can intervene, because as he said, it was manual, they intervene and put some mechanisms in there to block, and that improved the revenue collection from 20 to 40. Now they realize there's still some bit of. The new people coming, Africa 50, are they going to put aliens in place? Or are they going to bring foreigners to do the ticketing and everything for us? What is there that Africa 50 will bring in to make sure that they improve the revenue collection that our people cannot do? That's what we need to ask. It's not that, again, I said we can raise this money within Gambians, among Gambians. 100 million can be raised within the diaspora and Gambian businesses and Gambian individuals who have the means, to invest. And I can tell you, United Kingdom have improved its middle class here due to this sort of buying of shares, Gambia Airways, Gambia of buying shares, British Gas. In the utility privatization, they sold shares to citizens, and these people turn out to be, how to call it, middle class people today. And Gambians, diasporans can be part of this and so on, and the money will stay in the Gambia. That's one. Now, the management, if we can manage to move it from 20 to 40, and there's still something, why can't we look at that and plug that? If we decide to do it even private, why can't we do it within the country? Indigenous businesses come in and we do it better. You see, that's where the problem is. This is the kickbacks, these companies. I tell you, Africa 50 does not have 100 million in their safe. They don't have a safe. They take this investment and go and look for shareholders. That's what they're doing. Now, Africa 50, to get this business, might put in $1 million. Within government. In government to take this decision to give it to them, let them go. Why did government did not come out to see how many companies? No, they make an arrangement with one entity, one. They did not go for an open bidding and look at other areas. They did not do that. Then if they come in, how they're going to do it is this. Again, let's go to the social. What I mean about the social again is, if we continue this sort of investments, we have to be very careful. You know, we have to be empathetic. Be capitalists who are empathetic. I'm a capitalist. But what they call this, we have to have the social responsibilities right. We have to look at the impact on our economy. We don't want to drive what have happened in Senegal, where you see these major investments, developments, because of the Senegalese government, money to go to France, money to go to the European Union and get capitals from there and come and build a big stadium, 2 stadiums, wrestling stadium, basketball stadium, football stadium. And for what? For the farmers to farm, the other people, taxes to be taken and paid, because this infrastructure are not paying in. To go and, because they do that because of the corruption, they go and bring a company and borrow that much. And that company to be responsible to build a railway that runs from outskirts of Dakar to the capital of billions of CFA. Now, it's not going to realize profit for this thing, but every guarantee is government is going to pay the loans. When that amount of money could have been built, a railway to run from Dakar to Kaula, and people from Kaula to come to work for Dakar, no, they will not think about that. Because to do that, they have to do it properly, and they might not have anything from it. To my mean personally, but these things will go, they will look good because that's what they go, oh, you see what development we brought. But you go to many areas within that jurisdiction, in fact, people cannot find works or jobs or anything. This is why we talk about the social and the impact it's going to have on our economy. Now, if you put in certain charges and this company started to raise things up, Senegal will object to it, because it's going to affect the public transportation. It's going to affect private transportation. It's going to affect their industries. The raw materials from Casamance, or goods, finished goods from Senegal or the northern part of Senegal going to Casamance, all these things are going to affect it. What about Gambians? Now, if Gambians started to pay more, now Gambians will not able to have the luxury to be crossing the bridge. Look at what is happening in Basse now. People welcome the bridge. Now they're paying that much for the bridge. Some people cannot pay for the bridge now. They're walking across the bridge or going back to the boats. I am not saying that we should not do these things, but let's do it in a way that is beneficial to the people. That's why we need this conversation to continue and let it continue. Let's go for the next
Keita, why not asset recycle the prisons?
Excuse me, Peter. You see, this asset recycling does not mean you are disposing of the asset. Investors are going to fund the cash flows that you're getting upfront. So those investors need to be sure that there will be a predictable set of cash flow or stream of cash flows. You only do, that is the layman way of looking at asset recycling, to say this is a disused asset, let me dispose it, and then other people can find alternative use while I move on. That's an asset disposal. That's not the concept of asset recycling. What Africa 15 means by this asset recycling is not just disused assets that have gone into disrepair, and that government needs to exit and allow the private operators to run them, and that is technically tantamount to a sale.
Okay.
But we are saying people are parting with their funds to invest.
Okay.
So they need to do it in an asset that is cash flow generating, and those cash flows will be predictable over the tenure of the concession period.
Okay, so how are you going to use the $100 million coming from?
Let's check this. You realize that he did not answer the question. The question is, why not recycle the prisons? He went on to say that, oh, this is not asset disposals of assets. The question was not that, is it this disposal of assets? No. Why not recycle the prison? Why not get a company that will come in to refurbish, rerun, and run our prisons? It's happening in other countries. It's happening in the United Kingdom. It's happening because he said this concept is happening in developed countries. Why not introduce it there? Why not the prisons? But why? This is already. You see, my problem with this is Senegambia Bridge is already making money. We can even make more money if we put ourselves to it. Now, why not? Why take a cow? I mean, this is, you see, why take something lucrative like this and this point, because you want money quickly. Yes, if you think that you need money quickly, try something else. Try Gambians to give you that money, so that the money would stay within the Gambia, rather than the private investor going out there looking for investors. This is where I have a problem with this. But he did not answer the question. The reason Peter asked the question is to check, what do you think about this? But no, Peter failed to follow up. No, I am asking, why not the prisons? He should have explained why not the prisons. But they are going to go on to other lucrative. NAWEC and others will go. Let's just see how they're going to go with that. But let's just hear him here.
From Africa 50.
Well, we have just articulated that very clearly about the huge infrastructure deficit of the country.
But you already have money for this year. You've been to the National Assembly and asked to be given a certain budget, which includes building roads during the current, financial year. So the $100 million is earmarked for when?
No, these are for not just 1 year. Road construction is not 1 year. If you sign a road construction contract, those will go into multi-years. No road is commenced and completed in 1 year. So what we have approved as a budget is an annual budget. How will we fund the rest of the roads that are to be developed? And let us be very clear. The fact that because we are addressing the infrastructure deficit, we cannot displace the resource to say, okay, now that you got this, you have other sectors equally now then you are not developing the infrastructure space. Technically, that amounts to you diluting your investment in the infrastructure space.
Okay.
What we are saying is, once this goes on to fund the remaining infrastructure works into the future, it will leave the limited resources that are available to go into other social sectors.
All right.
Which the budget can address and the partners are equally addressing.
Let me just ask a question of the...
Now, let's go back to this. Thank you, Koto. I mean, we sell the goose that lays the golden eggs. Yeah, that's what they're doing. Why sell it? we can manage it, and do better. Or if we need to sell it, let's sell it to Gambians. Let Gambians buy the shares to the company, and Gambians become middle class. But then they spend earn that profit and spend it, and rather than 15% of 100 million going to foreigners to use. But let's come back to this. He's making a point that the money is going to be invested into more roads and bridges. This is what I'm saying. That's their point. Roads and bridges, these government roads, the only roads and bridges that have been built competently are ones that are designed, built, financed by the Chinese and handed over, or the ones already designed and contracted and everything before during the Jammeh time. That is 𝒂𝒄𝒄𝒆𝒔 and that other road. Look at the roads, all the ones they built. None of them will last 2-3 years. All the roads going on now. All the roads going on. And everything is inflated. Look at the Banyan project. Look at how inflated that is. A cash cow and everything else. That's why they're interested in something like that. It's a political thing, so that within the 5 years of this thing, they'll bring their new candidate. They bring out their new candidate to say that, you see, this government have built more roads here, have built these things. No. Now, he's saying that they will take this money, put it into those infrastructures, to build new infrastructures, for the deficit. Then he said the money raised from somewhere else would go to the social distancing. We all know where that money goes to. This government, if they were serious about that, they would have reduced the money they spent on themselves, spent on the president, spent on waste and everything else. They would have fight to stop that, combat that corruption, and reclaim all that money. Abasanyang is taking, I'll tell you, nothing will come out of Abasanyangs. If you take Abasanyang, you should take Amadba, you should take Mamburenja, you should take Bailamin Job, you should take President Barrow, you should take Sidi Keta himself, you should take them all. Former fisheries minister, you should take Drame and all these people. But that's not going to happen. If you have saved that much to go into schools and others, it's not true. Now, let's ask this. Now, this bridge is already making money. We are collecting good money from it, almost $1 million a month, almost. In whatever it is we can improve on. It's proven that if you do something about it, you improve, and the revenue collection would be higher. If they want to build other roads, why not ask this thing to build the roads and put a toll on it? That's what many countries do. But in Senegal, what we call the APS, the road that connects that bit of Dakar, open up Dakar and so on, it's built already, or the road to Touba. The road to Touba, it's already built. And they put the charge on. They put this thing on it. Let them go and build their roads. Let them go and build a bridge, and then put the charge on it. But not we have a bridge and everything built already. We making money on it. That's what we should ask. Let them go and build a bridge and put a toll on it. Let them build a bridge and put a toll on it. At least we can negotiate that separately, and this money would still be coming. Or if we think that the government needs some money now, and we know where the money is going, let's build a national, private, in a sense, put it to an entity that would open up for Gambians to invest. From the diaspora, my buy shares, I might have my £5,000, £10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and the available shares, we put our money. Other would do it. Ethiopia built a dam, most of it from the diaspora funding. They bought shares in it. The other countries, Egypt, did similar things with roads and other things. Other countries are doing it. This is where you need the diaspora to do that. And the diaspora make a little bit more. Where is the diaspora going to spend it? They're going to spend it in the country. Why not give it to foreigners to sell it? If they sell the shares, Gambians will not see it. Gambians will not see those shares if they ever sell them. This is the point. Let's move on.
Infrastructure Minister, is infrastructure only about roads as far as this government is concerned?
No, it's not only about roads, but roads are critical components of our infrastructure agenda. We also have the ICT infrastructure that, of course, is very critical for our overall development program. And then we also have, the airport modernization, the port modernization, but also, agriculture value chain, developing it to ensure that it fits for purpose. Now, for the purpose of this particular intervention, we at the Ministry of Works has actually put in place some ideas, one of which is to ensure that if the funds are spent on a particular road infrastructure project, then we use that as a tool to generate more so that, whatever we have serve as a savings.
So future roads will all be toll roads?
Not all roads, but we have some critical roads like the bypass that goes all the way to, the airport, behind the airport, all the way to Mandinaba, to free up the roads from the Westfield all the way to Brikama, so that goods and services that are destined for third countries from the port of Banjul will now quickly go through this bypass road. And then, it will be tolerized, so that at the end of the day, whatever Africa 50, front-loading funds are used on these roads, then within a few years, we can also have some funding, seed funds again, to spend on other roads. So these are type of innovative ways that we are working with the Ministry of Finance on.
All right. Asidi, you say the concept of asset recycling may be new in the Gambia, but it's been on for a while. What?
He's saying the same thing again. Tollage, we're going to tollage this, tollage this, tollage this. Then just go and ask them to build those roads and toll them. To build those roads, tell them invest their money. But you don't ask them to give me money up front. They say they're going to have 100 million. Let's make sure that even they have that 100 million if it's signed, when it's signed. 100 million cash, not okay, it's 100 million, but now the new information is they're going to give us this much in 1 year. They're going to give us that. You see, this government, until we hold them accountable, we know what's going to happen. Let's just not take them for what they just say here. Let's see things in detail. That's why we expect people to engage in the discussion. That's why we expect them to bring in the discussion first to consult us. We expect civil society to do that. We expect political parties to do that. We expect the parliament to do that, and order to bring in clarity. And if it's necessary, let's change a lot of other things that we think are not fit for purpose for it to be fit for purpose. This is the only reason we're discussing this. Some people might have an idea that they don't like this capitalist, this thing. I'm a capitalist. I like the private sector getting into things. But again, there are ways that you make the private sector responsible, but another benefit is to make the private sector, the indigenous private sector, the Gambian businesses registered in the Gambia, businesses that Gambians own, and Gambians themselves, diaspora Gambians, to have share of this, so that Gambians will be wealthier, Gambians will grow up middle class, and Gambia can, other Gambians, that middle class that money would trickle down. Because once you have a middle class, they build another home, they do this, they buy services, they buy this, other Gambians get employment. That's how we create employment. We don't want to create what is happening in Senegal today. The unemployment in the cities of Dakar and others, which is a ticking time bomb. That's why whenever there's a demonstration, whether they support Sonko or not, they'll come out. Because they have some grievance against their government. Because they've seen the billions being wasted, and they are not seeing the impact of that billions. And they lived in the midst of this development, which has been sold to them that is going to change and transform their life. But whose life will it transform? Again, the 1%. Again, the 1%. That's what we have a problem with this form of capitalist or capital investment. We want those that would have impact in society itself, to better society, that would not, stifle our economy. Because if it start tolls going up now, our transportation costs going up, and then that will go back to our food prices going up. Because if you transport something, you come to Farafenye, you have to cross, it's increased, you're going to pass it on to the consumer. These are the things we want to avoid. We can do it for ourselves, we can do it better.
But Recycling may be new in the Gambia, but it's been on for a while. What are some of the problems governments encounter when considering asset recycling programs?
Like any financial structure, there are challenges with it. That's why, for example, one typical challenge for toll roads is the traffic projection. You might, at the starting phase, underestimate the traffic volume. That's why we have addressed that by putting a target IRR return for the investors.
Okay.
Because, for example, if we had left it at a linear period of only 25 years and the traffic volume shoot up, then the investors will be disproportionately compensated at the expense of the state.
Okay.
But that's why we said, no, as an investor coming to this, your target IRR will be 15%. That's your return expectation. And once we don't forget, behind all of this, there'll be a transparent financial reporting. There'll be a tool system which will be electronic, digital, and we will all be having, that's why government is in the shareholding of the sponsorship vehicle.
But will government be in the management of the bridge?
No.
No, you are in the shareholder. The management is the concessionaire.
Okay.
That is their core competence. But you will be receiving all the financial reports, all the due diligence, all the traffic studies, everything that is going to address the transparency of the operation.
So they are at liberty, the concessionaire is at liberty to increase the toll charge?
No. This is national asset. So these are normally things that both parties will have to agree to.
That's important.
Right. We cannot just say that, oh yeah, you have a carte blanche to do as you deem fit. There are parameters guiding the operations.
Okay.
So before those changes will be effected, it will have to be studied, government will be consulted, there will be a consultation process.
Okay. What else?
So
What else with Africa 50?
Now, this is another point. This is another point we have to look at. If government goes through this, he's talking about, he asks him, what are the challenges do the other governments that went through this so-called it's a mortgage, let's just put a mortgage cost. He talked about the traffic, estimation of traffic. Estimation of traffic and so on. Now, he did not talk about another thing, the impact on the economy. As it is happening in Senegal, as it's happening in other countries. Because where the people don't have an alternative, they don't have another choice. Now, if you put a Denton Bridge, let's put Denton Bridge on toll. Now, if you have to cross Denton Bridge, you have to pay. What they also do is, now the drivers will have to put their prices up. Now, the person going to the hospital, now prices are up, they have to pay, regardless of what they have to go to the hospital. But now they have to pay more because there's a toll there now, and the drivers are asking for more money in order to subscribe to the toll. You see that how it impacts on social? Now, it impacts on all the movements, and which is, those movements might be that impact on our economy. These are things that he did not talk about. When there's no alternative, because now if you have to cross from Yili Tenda, Bamba Tenda, you cannot swim, you can't take the boats. That's the only way to cross will be the bridge. Now you are forced to pay. These are the things that, no, we have to, and he talked about something, or there's going to be transfer, there'll be financial reporting and all these things. Who are they going to report to? It's not the same government. Now, if this government say that they cannot manage, or they don't have any other formula to manage to make sure we realize this as revenue. Now, but they can give it to someone else to manage. But the government now is the oversight body to look into these people's business. How can we trust that government to look into that business? Now, if they corrupt the people, the oversight, they can do whatever they want. If the government wants us to believe that they can do that, let them show us their competency with the contracts they already signed. Let them show the competency with the airport project, the airport levy, $20 levy. We sat one time, and for almost 3 months, the levy was increased from 2,000 to 2,000 something. For the government to turn around, we didn't know. Now, if similar things happen with this company, how would we know? This is the doubt. This is why we have doubt with this government. Is their corruption and their incompetency. This is the doubt we have. That's why we need to really scrutinize this to make sure we have everything on board and we can have transparency to hold them accountable.
Not be able to do apart from unilaterally increasing the toll charge.
No, there is a whole concession agreement that will identify who can do what in the concession.
Maybe we need a future program, a longer program to deal with that.
I'm not explaining this.
Unfortunately,
I know.
Very quickly, in 1 minute, yes, go ahead, 1 minute.
No, all I'm saying is we will not be doing a transaction that will be at the detriment of the Gambians.
No.
Whatever we are doing ultimately is for the benefit of this nation.
All right.
And we are fully aware of.
We cannot take that statement to be real. 𝒕𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒏 cannot tell us that. These people have been taking decisions to the detriment of Gambian people. They have taken decisions from the security charges at the airport. Now they are introducing the same thing, another PPP on the ports authority. I mean, for the people to pay for something they don't need to pay for is the tracking system, which is going to increase the shipment of a container from a country like United Kingdom 500 pounds. And that 500 pounds is going to be cost to pass on to the consumer. And a company, another foreign company, is giving that contract. For what? For that company to make money on us and take it out. This statement is not true. 𝒕𝒉𝒂𝒏 cannot tell us that they are looking for our interests. For everything they do, they have not been looking at our interests.
We are fully aware of what the expectation of what the management will be like. And there will be a binding agreement between the government and the concessionaire. It is not an asset sale, a one-way traffic, they decide or do what they deem fit. No.
Okay.
This is happening elsewhere.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much, 𝒕𝒉𝒂𝒏.
Will apply here.
We'll have to stop you there. And Sila.
Yeah, he's saying this, that they will do things right, they know they are responsible, whatever. We cannot take that. They have not proven that. And again, he contradicted himself. He said when they went to that place, when it was announced, other countries want to do it. As if it's a new thing. Now he's saying that, oh, this has been happening in other places. That's why I said in the beginning, he has been misrepresenting things or deliberately not telling us the truth, as if they had this genius idea and they're selling it to us. Let me see what this guy have just said. Okay, this guy sent me a map and said the red spots is the airport. What bypassed through the back of the airport to Mandinaba is Ibrahim Sila talking about. Thank you very much, Koto. I don't know. People might know. They will tell us. I'll look into it. What he said. I thought he was referring to the present construction they're doing. They're going to do a bypass. I don't know. I'll check with that. Thank you. Yeah, guys. Fortunately, that is it. It's taking almost longer than I thought. But as I said, we will carry this out, continue this conversation, and we share our views about this conversation. We continue. Alaji Saliu Njai will be hosting me tomorrow, inshallah, on a recorded program on the Freedom Radio, where we'll have an extensive this thing. As I said, it brings up other things when someone else is asking the question than doing a monologue. Thank you very much, guys, and have a good day. Thank you. Cheers. Thank you.